This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, we've packed a number of shows together to give you some highlights. I know you're going to enjoy the show. Thank you for being with us today.
I think the content you're going to bring us is very applicable to many of our listeners. Now, some of our listeners are passive investors, but a lot of our listeners are involved in this space. They're getting started up. And personally, I think I mentioned to you, so I head up LifeBridge Capital's investor relations, and I'm a part of a mastermind, an investor relations mastermind, and we meet once a month. And let me tell you how often the topic of communication is marketing. So you, as an expert in marketing, I think are going to have a lot to inform us about today and to bring us along. Number one, why do you think commercial real estate companies are slow to adopt? And then why do you think it's so important specifically in commercial real estate?
So commercial real estate is very much so a relationship built business. And you know that you do investor relations, you understand that it's all about building these relationships and making
100%.
sure that making sure that you're trusted, making sure that, they're getting someone who they truly believe can get the job done for them. So, and bring those dollars back. So you understand that. And I think that I don't want to say old folks in real estate, but I'd say that the older generation that started this really strong commercial real estate industry, they just say, like, I know my people. I don't need to push my name out. But now there's a new young generation. Everyone is using their phones. Everyone, their mother, their grandma is on Instagram, like everyone is now pushing themselves out there. So like, why would we not also push out your name within the marketing space, within, the digital space, within all these different platforms? So it's really about building that visibility right now, going beyond just relationships. We really see that there's so much potential, and ensuring that you're reaching your potential as a commercial real estate business. It's an easy answer. Push marketing, like push your name out, do things that are different, be innovative.
Okay, so let's get to some of the nuts and bolts. So you have relationship-based business that's going on. What portion or percentage of potential untapped business is being left on the table with the marketing? I mean, is it like an additional 50%, or how do you quantify what your services can provide for a firm?
So I wouldn't even say there's like a number. I wouldn't say like, oh, you can, if you post today, you're going to have a 50% growth. It doesn't work like that. And it's different when you're marketing yourself as a commercial real estate company versus, let's say you're selling a product. If I'm selling a shoe, is it going to be, if someone clicks on the ad and it leads directly to a sale, right? Whereas if you're pushing out your commercial real estate business, or you're pushing out a really great deal and you're looking for investors, right? It might not be that today they're going to invest in your deal. It might be that they saw you, on December 1st in 2023, but they're investing in a deal in March, right? And it might be difficult to track that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that as an industry, we're trying to kind of really figure out how to do. But at the same time, as long as you're pushing out your name, you're going to see that growth. So It's not a direct sale, but it's eventual. This relationship that's being built now is being built digitally.
Yes, and it's the long game. Just like with in-person relationships, for me, like we play the long game. We're just like, we're not like, hey, we met you, now we expect that you're going to invest with us. Like, we want to add value to you over time, build trust. We want you to know, like, and trust us. And then, we think that that's going to be a good platform for trust and investment. So talk to me a little bit about Cloud, your company, and what are the suite of services that you provide? And let's say you're sitting down with somebody who has a commercial real estate firm. Let's say they're small to medium sized, because I'm assuming the larger ones maybe already have marketing. Maybe that's not a correct assumption. But what size of company do you start with, and then do you scale the services that you provide? Like, how do you get somebody started with this?
So it's very, very dependent on the company. So we work with large corporations, and for them, they already have a huge marketing team behind them, but we'll be able to chip in on smaller projects, or we'll manage one social channel for them, or we'll do maybe a conference, we'll do like conference management for them. So it really depends on the company and what it is that they already have in place. If it's a company that is, they're smaller size, they have a smaller budget, we have to also think about what makes sense for them. So it really is dependent on the company, what their goals are, and that's where we think about, and then we'll see like, okay, this is the best place to start.
Okay. So let's take just like as an example, X commercial real estate company, let's say that it's a self-storage company and they have, call it, I don't know, 500 million assets under ownership. Where would you start them? Where would be the best place for them to allocate finances in marketing? And then how would you suggest they grow from there?
So I always like to start with a digital presence. So we'll build out some sort of digital platform for them. That includes a Instagram page. It might include a LinkedIn page. And then we can think about whether an email campaign makes sense for them. Do you already have an email database of people that you can reach out to and push your messaging out? Do you not have one that we should maybe build out a platform where we can collect these emails? Do you have exposure right now at all of the big self-storage conferences? Are you sponsoring panels that are about, the growth behind self-storage? Is there any press out there? Can we get you on interviews? Can we get you on podcasts? There's so much out there. And there's so much that we think about to make sure that our clients are getting the exposure that they need. So I can't say like, okay, this is the equation to be successful if you're a self-storage company and this is how many assets you have under your belt. But so it really depends on your goals, what strategies we can put in there, and the budget. So
Okay.
options are endless.
Endless. Yes, that's so great. So that's great that you do placement to get people onto platforms. Love that you can just outsource conference management. What does that look like?
So conference management is interesting because we really think about for a conference, there's panels, we think about which ones make the most sense for the members of the teams to show up on. We want to make sure that they're showing up as thought leaders. We want to make sure that the panels that they're on, they're truly an expert for. And then it's about making sure they have a booth with beautiful signage. They have brochures. People are representing them well behind these booths. So we're making sure all of these different pieces are aligned before the conference begins. And then we'll either fly out with you or I'll send someone from my team.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you have like a follow-up setup, or do you set folks up with like a follow-up plan, or is that something?
Yes. I love that you said that, Dina, because it's true. Follow-up is so important for these conferences. You're attending them and you know that the follow-up is the number one. So we make sure that during the conference, you're collecting the emails, you're collecting the contact information, scanning the badges, so that when we get back, we're setting up these email campaigns that blast out and say, hey, it was so nice to meet you. Can we set up a follow-up meeting? Or reaching out to folks and saying, oh, it was great. Thanks for including us in the conference. Can you please include us in the next panel that you have? Or putting out content on social media, video clips of you at the booth, video clips of you speaking to people, video clips of you on the panel. Like there's so much content, juicy content that comes out of these conferences.
Content.
Yes, and it's free for you as an individual attending these conferences to post while you're there and to post afterwards, post before. It's just like, it's so important and valuable to get that content out. And it really is the most cost-effective marketing tool. So we definitely push out how important it is to get that content out.
That's amazing. So how do you guys, and we'll push further into marketing mechanisms for CRE. I'm just curious, it just dawned on me, like, how do you guys do your own marketing? Are you also at these conferences? I mean, you and I spoke about this briefly
Yeah.
before we record, about getting you to a conference where I think it would be really
Yeah.
awesome for business. But do you guys have your own like marketing plan within? And then how,
So,
I'm curious.
so I always joke, the story about the shoemaker always has the ripped shoes.
Yeah, or the
So
electrician in plastic camera.
so it's always us focusing on everyone else, and then our marketing. I would say that we have really great marketing. I love our website. I love our social presence. We're getting on podcasts. Thanks for having us. And then conferences. I think that there's really no marketing booth usually at these conferences. I definitely, as a personal goal for next year, I definitely want to attend more conferences. But
Yeah, girl, I'll see you there.
yes, you need to hold me accountable.
I will.
So I think that what we're really doing is, one, I think that we're pushing ourselves really great on social media, but I really think we get the most business with word of mouth.
That's how it
And
is.
and thank God everyone who works with us, they're really happy. I'm happy to say that they're happy with us. So it's really word of mouth. Like, someone works with us and says, "Hey, Cloud was great. They were able to get me in the real deal this week. You really should talk to them. I know you just had that awesome deal. Get that some exposure for that." So it's really been word of mouth, and thank God we have some awesome clients that are speaking highly of us. So word of mouth works for us. Social media, we do monthly email blasts, and hopefully we'll be attending more conferences.
Yeah. So as a commercial real estate investment firm, let's say you have X amount of gross revenue, do you recommend to a firm that they should spend, like, what percentage of an overall budget do you recommend allocating to marketing?
Again, this question is so specific to the company. Right now, we're facing a little bit of a market downturn. So I'm having a lot of clients starting to reach out and say, like, "Hey, Kim, we need to decrease our marketing budget." So I really think that we can't say, like, "Okay, this is the budget and this is what you must spend to be successful," because that is not true. And there's so much that can be done without a large marketing budget. If right now, for example, you're putting in dollars into paid campaigns, maybe transition to organic social, start posting some videos of you speaking on social media rather than paying for those ads and those clicks. So I'm not going to say, like, if you have X amount to spend, this is what you should be doing, or this is the percentage of your business that you can be spending, because everything is so particular. But I do think that everyone should be conscious of what they're spending their money on and evaluating every single week or every single month if those dollars that are being spent in a valuable way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the slowdown in the commercial real estate market. 2023 has been an interesting year in terms of the turn of tides and just even the start of a new economic cycle. What do you think about that? How do you continue to generate business, and how do you advise? You know, you started to say folks are coming to you saying, "Hey, we're going to pump the brakes a little bit on this."
Mhm.
But what do we do to continue marketing in a time where there's not a lot of transaction volume?
Yeah. So we all know the real estate market's cyclical. Like, this is a downturn, but I'm confident things are going to turn up. We're already seeing interest rates going up a little bit. So we're hopefully the end is near for this. Right now, I'm advising to keep your marketing consistent. Even if that means cutting costs a little bit, consistency is key. And I cannot say that enough. That means do not turn off your marketing. Do not stop pushing out what you're pushing out. It is obviously difficult to continue pushing out a huge budget and having the same amount of marketing that you did. I'd say, okay, maybe don't sponsor every conference that you were sponsoring before. Maybe, again, cut costs on some paid ads. Maybe it's, switching from print ads to digital ads. There's a lot that can be done that where you can keep that consistency with your brand, making sure that people are still seeing you and you still have that visibility without really turning it off. My number one thing right now is do not slam the brakes. This is not the time. Like, if everyone else is slamming the brakes, you should be going full force. So we're really advising to be consistent and continue that visibility.
Yeah, I agree. There are things that you can do that are free.
Yes.
But even keeping money in it. So you have these clients and they're paying for marketing services. How does one of your clients evaluate the effectiveness of the marketing that you're doing?
Good question. So it's what we're really, really focusing on in seeing if your marketing is effective is if you're getting in those leads. So we're tracking leads, we're tracking clicks, we're tracking engagement. And then what we do is we'll compare that to, obviously, before we started marketing, and then we'll compare that to the industry standard, and making sure that those goals and the KPIs, the key performance indicators that we set at the beginning, are being met.
Us as a company, LifeBridge Capital, we're at a marketing inflection point. So I would love to hear any kind of advice that you can give to us and to our listeners about how they can get started. Let's say they are interested in learning more about your company, but let's say they're not quite ready. What can they do just today or tomorrow or this week, getting involved in some of the social media platforms? What advice can you share?
So I would start off by saying, build yourself a very nice, robust list of emails. Go through all of your contacts, export them, and make a nice, robust email list. Okay. That is your database. That is the value of your business, because that are all of the relationships that you have. Then next, we need to build up some sort of social presence. I would say, if you don't already have a personal LinkedIn profile, make a LinkedIn profile, make sure you have your photo, make sure you have your position there, make sure you have your experience there. Then we can have a Instagram page, whether that's a personal one where you're pushing out thought leadership, where you're talking about what's going on in the market, or that can be something for your business. And that's really where I would start. And then the limit is endless.
So let's talk about LinkedIn, because I think that for me personally, I confess, and I need to grow in this area. I have been hesitant and resistant in life in general in leaning into social media. Our family doesn't even own a television. I never have in my whole life.
Wow.
Crazy.
I want to say like, good for you, because honestly, that's great. But also, like, come on.
True. We do have a projector, so like we can access Roku and college sports and videos. Listen, I don't know how people spend an hour to 2 hours a night on TV. It is a race to the finish line for me to lay my head down at 11 p.m. and to get everything done. Yes. Got 3 kids, working full time, wanting to be present as a wife and a mom. And I'm just I guess that's
wow.
It's how would
you might be my inspiration, because I cannot pull myself away from my phone and the TV, even with kids. So you're a legend.
Not trying to be. I just it's survival. So let's talk about LinkedIn. I recently joined the social media. I know this is right. I'm an exception here. Okay. So I've been on LinkedIn now for about 2 years, but even when I post on LinkedIn, a lot of colleagues, so I try to post content that I find would be, or that I think would be interesting or appealing to people, not just kind of what everybody else who's in investor relations is posting. I look at that content and I want to fall asleep. I don't even read it. Interested in passive investing, interested in working less, and those same things that are said over and over. Yeah. But I also want to convey and communicate that this is what we're doing. But I've kind of gone down the route just recently as storytelling, because I've gotten to do a lot of really interesting things this fall. And so trying to wrap in what I do, but also tell the story and really highlight and add value to others. What can I do within that framework and context? I mean, there is some industry thought leadership that I plan on posting in the coming months, but tell me like about cadence, about mixing that kind of content with actual, you know, CRE content around what LifeBridge Capital is doing. Coach me.
This is like my favorite part of marketing,
Let's
because
go. Let's go.
I feel like a therapist, because it's so personal, and I know we might not know each other so well, but just speaking to you for today, I understand.
Just on your couch. I'm just gonna like lay on your couch.
Yeah. Here are your tissues. No, but I'm saying, like, for understanding that you are, you know, you have this energy to you, and you speak so highly of LifeBridge Capital, and you know what's going on, and you're speaking to these investors, you have stories. There's so much that you as an individual can be providing as education to your followers. So what we really do is we'll speak to each person and we'll evaluate, like, okay, maybe someone's not such a good speaker, they shouldn't be putting out videos, but for you, like, this would be a fantastic opportunity. I think you should go, you know, in front of your phone, snap a few videos and say, like, this is what's going on, or here's a funny story. People love faces. People love the personality. So I would definitely tune in. And it's not boring when you're really putting your personality into it.
Okay, noted. I'm definitely taking notes. I think that there's an art on LinkedIn with like the personal and the professional. You know, you don't want to see people turn LinkedIn into a Facebook.
Yes.
But I think that there is.
But you're not talking about personal things. You're talking about it from a business standpoint. I wouldn't want you to be talking about how, like, you are sitting at the dinner table and your child did X, Y, and Z. Like, okay, that's cute, but I think if you're talking about what happened in a meeting with an investor and how you convince them to invest in this deal, or how crazy this deal is, or something awesome about what happened when you went to the bank, like, there's a lot more color that you can add to your business, and there's so much that you can show yourself as this professional in the real estate space.
Okay.
So
what cadence then am I posting videos versus written content?
I'm all about video. I'm all about video. Again, people want to see your face. People want to hear your voice. People want to connect. We touched in our last segment about relationships, and, you know, post COVID, people aren't getting together as much. But they still crave relationships, and we're bringing you those relationships through social media. So as much as you can show your face and people can hear your voice and connect with you, even if it's digital, I think it can go a long way.
So what's the balance and difference between developing a personal brand and maintaining your company brand?
So it's very, very much something that the company needs to decide. So there's companies that want to have team members' faces to be pushed out across the board. But then there's some companies that only want the CEO's face to be representing their brand. So for LifeBridge, I know that Whitney really wants everyone on their team to really show themselves off and really represent LifeBridge as an overall company. So I think for you guys, it'd be awesome if every team member has a personal brand that they just tag LifeBridge in the post, or they mention LifeBridge in the post. Whereas for other companies, we might only be posting on the LifeBridge pages, so that we only build that sort of company brand rather than the personal.
Gotcha.
So it's dependent. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's true. That really is true. Both Sam Russ and Whitney Sewell, CEO and COO, are very much supportive of all of us kind of being out there in our personal brands and representing LifeBridge. So that's a joy to work in that kind of environment. Is there anything different that you would do in posting on Instagram than you would posting on LinkedIn?
Yes, for sure. Instagram, I'd say I like to keep videos even shorter than LinkedIn. So very, very quick content.
Like time
I
frame
would
on
do,
LinkedIn versus time frame on Insta? What would
yes,
you
we'll
say?
keep the time frame shorter on Instagram.
But like what time frame? How
Oh,
long?
for Instagram, I wouldn't exceed a 30-minute video, but for LinkedIn, a 1-minute video would do well.
Got it. Okay.
Um, and and that's because people are really focusing on Instagram stories. They're just clicking through. Or if it's like a reel, Instagram Reels, it's like the TikTok version of Instagram. Again, these are all short snippets, so we're not really seeing that longer form content that you might be seeing on LinkedIn. Um, Instagram also, you can put, but at the same time, for Instagram and LinkedIn, you can push out like a beautiful post. That's just like a deal closed post specifically for
Mhm.
a real estate company. And then for LinkedIn, you can post links, whereas for Instagram, you can't post links in the feed. You can only post a link in stories. So that's really a differentiator.
Mhm. So let's say you had to pick between Instagram and LinkedIn. What would you recommend? Not that you have
I
to, but let's say you want to focus your time in one place and then maybe grow and add the next one.
So for a real estate company, I would definitely start with LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you're really able to tailor who you're connecting with. Um, you're able to find people by their company, you can how long they worked at a company, where they're located. You could really get into the nitty-gritty from a professional standpoint. Whereas for Instagram, I'd say it's a little bit more personal. Um, it's you can't really delve into who that person is without knowing who the person is, whereas LinkedIn breaks it all down for you.
Gotcha. Okay, this brings up another question. I'm loving this, by the way, because it's like very real
Mhm.
time for us. We talk a lot about our investor avatar and how can we define who is investing with us by the way that we serve them. How do you guys advise your clients to market specifically to an avatar investor? So let's say I'm on LinkedIn or even Instagram. I don't know if you have like an age demographic that Instagram serves more readily than LinkedIn, or I mean, even departing from the LinkedIn Instagram discussion, how do you coach your clients or even approach and discuss your investor avatar and then how to tailor the content that you're providing to add the most value to them?
Again, for LinkedIn, and this is actually where I would bring in the different platforms, because with LinkedIn, again, you're really able to understand the demographics of your investor, of the people that you're connecting with, which allows you to really break down who it is that you want to invest. Like when you have a deal in front of you, you know the perfect type of investor in your mind when you see that deal, right? So with LinkedIn, you're able to search exactly exactly where this person works, how long have they worked, what's their age, where did they go to college, like what are their interests. You can get so into the nitty-gritty, and build that target audience, build that target demographic that you're looking for. So I would say that that is why marketing and all the communication and everything that we're discussing is so important, because you have these tools at your fingertips. You have these tools to be able to find what you're looking for in in your business. And it's just about using it, getting to the source.
Yes. So can you talk a little bit about metrics on the back end of LinkedIn? What kind of impression quantity are you looking for per post? Like what's a success or what is that did not get much traction at all?
There's industry standards for commercial real estate, and we'll just compare your campaign to those industry standards. LinkedIn does provide some like standard metrics, but they are different for commercial real estate. And we make sure that we take that into account.
So you don't look at like post impressions?
We do look at post impressions, but I wouldn't say that's like the number one way to see if like a post is doing well. Again, like we're trying to get you the leads. So are people commenting? Are people reaching out to you? I rather look more at the engagement rather than the actual views.
So then how do you recommend if it's something where it's a commentary or an editorial, but you also want to create a way for people to be able to, I mean, you just wait for follow-up, I guess, and then you follow up with them offline.
Well, we should really have a call to action for every single post that we're putting out.
Okay, this is good. Keep going on.
So for every single post, we should have a call to action. That means like, make sure your contact information is there. Ask a question that people will need to answer. We're trying to build that relationship. We're trying to foster some sort of network on these platforms. So ask a question, put your contact information, tell people how they can reach you, say what you're looking for, be very specific. And a call to action is what's going to get you that engagement that we want.
Gotcha. Wow, very helpful. I love all of this. And so as a service provider in marketing, do you guys sometimes just undertake this? How do you do this on behalf of a firm?
So it's really fun because we're able to be part of all these different types of businesses within the commercial real estate space. And we really feel as part of the team, we really need to integrate ourselves as much as we can into the company so that we're able to understand what the brand's message is, what's their tone of voice, like who they're looking for, who they're trying to connect with, who their target is. So we integrate ourselves really, really well into the company. Our team is amazing at doing that and asking the questions and speaking to them on a daily basis. Our door is always open. We're texting. We're on a text basis with all of our clients. So we're making sure that we're integrated. And then once we're integrated, our team is really, it's really dependent on our clients, how much they want to be involved. Like, do they want to see every single post that goes up? Do they want to, double check every article that's going out? If they do, that's amazing and that's great. But there's some clients who kind of are like, take the reins, Kim, like, peace out. So it really depends on that, and on how collaborative they want to be. But for us, the number one thing we always say is we need to integrate into your business to be able to understand it, to then be able to do marketing for you.
That makes so much sense, especially if you're going to be almost like an extension of their voice on public, on media.
And that's kind of where people get frightened when they're using an agency versus someone in-house, because there's pros and cons. When you're working with an agency, you're getting developers, you're getting graphic designers, you're getting marketing managers, you're getting people who really understand social media, but they're not necessarily sitting next to you. Whereas you can go the marketing manager front, hire someone who is really good at marketing, but like they don't have as much of a skill set as a team would. So it's like you have, but again, they're right next to you and you can speak to them and they understand your brand very, very well because they're in your office. So there's pros and cons, and that's something you should also evaluate when you're putting together a plan for your marketing for your business.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This has been so you're going to come to a conference and I'm actually going to post a video myself, which is not my thing to do, on LinkedIn, and I guess we'll just see what response looks like.
I'll make sure that we like it.
Yes, come connect with me. Be a fan.
I'll comment too.
Thank you for being with us again today. I hope that you have learned a lot from the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you're telling your friends about the Real Estate Syndication Show and how they can also build wealth in real estate. You can also go to lifebridgecapital.com and start investing today.